Tudor released a new Pelagos FXD recently, and the response I have seen about it online from the rest of the watch community has been quite mixed. Some people have found it extremely underwhelming, and others, like myself, truly love it. And I have a few thoughts regarding that, and I want to explain my stance on the matter as well. Before I begin, I want everyone to remember to donate to the Hawaii Salvation Army and support disaster relief efforts on the island of Maui. Link is in the description below. Also, if you want to get your watch collection featured on my channel, please submit pictures to me via Instagram @_worndowncrown. Lastly, if you're looking for a watch and you want to save some money, use my code MORGANWEIBEL, all caps, no spaces, and get $200 off your first purchase when you shop with the BEZEL app. Let me know what you get. The first Tudor Pelagos FXD in blue was developed specifically for the French Marine Nationale. And in the modern watch industry today, it is one of the few luxury wristwatches that is marketed using overt references to the military. The black Pelagos FXD is now the second watch in Tudor's lineup that does this. And Tudor's new release is admittedly, at first glance, rather uninteresting. The dial and bezel color have been changed from blue to black, and the bidirectional countdown bezel on the blue FXD has been swapped for a traditional unidirectional dive bezel that we're all used to. This watch has the same specifications as its predecessor, coming in with a 42mm case size, 52mm lug to lug, 22mm lug width, 200 meters of water resistance, is 12.75mm thick, and it comes equipped with the caliber MT5602 movement, which is time only. It also has a titanium construction and the signature fixed lugs, which differentiate this lineup from the other subcategories within the Pelagos line. Currently, this watch retails for $4,150 US, and both the original and the new version are practical tool watches because of the fixed lugs, which is a feature famously found on the Rolex Milsub reference 5517. Fixed lugs solve the issue of fragile spring bars, breaking in the middle of combat or in a high-stress situation. Unfortunately, watches with fixed lugs are compatible only with NATO or Zulu straps. So if you're not a fan of NATO or Zulu straps, you're basically out of luck when you want to wear this watch. But if you don't like NATO or Zulu straps, I personally think that you're insane. So yeah, we can talk about that later. But there's a lot more to the black FXD than just the color. The most distinguishing feature about this watch is its affiliation with the US Navy. According to Tudor's website, both the Marine Nationale and the US Navy issued Tudor Submariners to their respective service members during the latter half of the 20th century. Both the French and American versions bore blue and black dials. In essence, the French Navy blue FXD and the current black FXD are ways of paying homage to the Tudor Submariners of the past. I'm sorry about the dog, by the way. Lastly, both Hodinkee and Watches of Espionage go into great detail in covering the strong link between Rolex, Tudor, and the US military as a whole. The most important thing to remember, however, is that this watch was not initially developed with regular civilian watch enthusiasts in mind. And let me break this concept down, because I don't want to put anyone off by saying that. After all, this watch is being sold on the civilian market. But, as watch enthusiasts, we love to see technological innovations or major design changes that make the watches highly recognizable. After all, every year in Geneva, Watches and Wonders is basically the biggest few days in the entire watch industry, and everyone congregates in Geneva, and the press come to see what all the new brands have done and what they have done to differentiate from last year and how they've improved. But it's my belief that with this release, Tudor was not looking to do this. And considering the mixed reaction to the previously released Red Bull themed Pelagos from earlier this year in 2023, it wouldn't necessarily have been a guarantee of success to make this black FXD wildly innovative. You know, sometimes a really innovative watch or a really innovative design can fall flat on its face, and I don't think Tudor wanted to take that risk, especially with the connection that they have already to the U.S. Navy. So with all this taken into consideration, the black FXD is a tool meant to be taken along for duty by the serving sailor, marine, airman, or soldier. Its design may be conventional and even pretty repetitive compared to the company's other offerings. I'll absolutely, give critics that. It's another Pelagos, and the Pelagos is basically an offshoot of the Black Bay. But this is perhaps another advantage of the black FXD itself. And let me explain why. The mission sets of any service member in any career field can vary widely, and the occasional requirement for covert movement from some service members requires that the watch that person wears be as low visibility as they are. Wearing something high profile like a Rolex Submariner can draw the wrong kind of attention in certain environments. Additionally, traditional Casio G-Shocks, which are the kinds of watches that a lot of watch enthusiasts often most closely associate with the military, can be dead giveaways of a certain person's profession in a non-permissive environment as well. On the other hand, the black Tudor Pelagos FXD is quite unassuming, and it can fly under the radar in just about any environment. There's nothing flashy or notable about it, and that is a huge plus in terms of its practicality. The lack of complications and relatively simple time-only movement reduces the likelihood of damage to otherwise it reduces the likelihood of damage to otherwise fragile parts. But regardless of what your kit would look like on deployment, it should be noted that there are very strict regulations on the wear of wristwatches in uniform, even when stateside. Marine Corps Order Papa 1020.34 Hotel, for example, states that inconspicuous watches are authorized for wear in uniform. So the term inconspicuous is quite subjective. Now, obviously, anything by MB&F or work is very conspicuous, and you're not going to be able to get away with that if you're wearing your uniform. But something like a $20 Casio F91W is pretty inconspicuous to another Marine that knows nothing about watches. However, a white gold Rolex Submariner date 126619 LB with a blue bezel would be nothing special to that same Marine who doesn't realize what he's actually looking at. The black FXD, however, manages to strike a perfect balance between those two examples by being inconspicuous thanks to its matte finishing, titanium construction, use of a NATO strap, and generally uninteresting design, while still feeling high quality. There are several points of criticism, though, that I've seen on social media which I would directly like to address. Firstly, that the watch is too big. It is big. It's 42 millimeters in size, and a lot of people are definitely going to be sized out of this watch. And I think that's unfortunate generally. But it's big because it is, again, a watch that needs to be used on duty. And if you are on the fly or on the go, and you quickly need to check the time, having a larger watch helps you do that. Other people have said that this is just a really boring watch and it's not innovative at all. Perhaps that's true, but this watch shouldn't have to be innovative, like I've said before. I don't think Tudor was going for that, and I don't think that they believe that this watch would have any more measure of success if they did. It simply needs to be durable, and low profile. Lastly, the caseback has no markings, unlike the Marine Nationale. No, there are no distinguishing caseback markings on the Black FXD. I recently got to try the watch on and have a couple examples in hand when I was on vacation recently. And with that being said, caseback markings typically indicate that the watch was unit issued if we're speaking in a military context. And if you're buying the watch at retail, it's obviously not an issued timepiece. So the addition of caseback markings or fake serial numbers to pretend like it was something more than it is just kind of corny in my opinion. And while we're on that point, I don't think that the U.S. Navy in general would appreciate having I don't think the U.S. Navy would appreciate having its own insignias or a seal trident being slapped on the dial or the caseback when those institutions take their symbology so seriously. Again, it's going back to the point of it's going back to the point about the caseback markings and serial numbers being on the back. It just seems kind of corny, and I don't think it would work. And it's almost like Tudor would be trying a bit too hard if they were to make these additions to the watch. For example, both Luminox and Panerai have Navy SEAL edition watches, and in my opinion, I find those to be extremely corny. The subtlety of the Pelagos is much better, and in every interview that I've seen with somebody who is either current or former special operations, when somebody is asking them about their watches, and you guys can find these videos on YouTube, like Watchbox and Watchfinder and Company they've all done interviews with former special ops people and asked them what's in your watch collection. GBRS Group just published a video about their own watch collections, and I guarantee you that I'm almost positive that none of the individuals in those videos had the Navy SEAL edition Luminox or Panerais. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure they did not have those watches. So yeah, I wouldn't go for that, and I think Tudor made the right move by not trying to hammer home the military connection too hard. The last point of criticism that I've heard that I want to address is one that I actually do agree with, and it's that this watch should have been MEDAS certified. So for those who don't know what MEDAS is, it's the Swiss Federal Institute of Metrology, which is a separate governing body that tests watches for accuracy. So after watches get COSC certified, MEDAS is a series of more stringent tests that test the watch as a fully cased up movement for accuracy, anti-magnetism, and shock-proof durability, as well as what else? It's not coming to me right now, but you guys get the point. It's much more stringent than COSC, and any watch with a MEDAS certification, most notably Omega, nearly all of their current lineup is MEDAS certified. If a watch is MEDAS certified, then that watch is very reliable. And I think Tudor really dropped the ball on not making this Black FXD MEDAS certified. Otherwise, I don't know how they could have made it any better. I think that's the only improvement they really could have made to this watch. Overall, I don't think that this release is getting the amount of love that it deserves. And, as a service member myself, I think it's pretty cool that a luxury watch brand is recognizing the part the US military has played in helping perpetuate the Swiss watch industry, while simultaneously adding to its heritage. A lot of people will find things to criticize about this watch, namely the boring design, the unoriginal use of red Pelagos text, and so on and so forth. But the reality is that this watch was specially designed as a tool for a group of professionals, the US military. And this watch was not designed for a vast community of civilians looking for a fashion accessory. Understanding this watch's heritage puts it into better context, and it helps better explain why Tudor designed this watch the way they did and why they didn't take certain steps. And it gives me, in general, a great appreciation for what it is and what it represents. In every way but name, this watch is truly the modern version of Rolex and Tudor's Mille from the past, which die-hard enthusiasts love, if secondary market prices are any indication about that. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for this video. Let me know your thoughts on this watch. Do you think Tudor should have tried harder? Do you think they're being lazy, or do you like this release? Let me know. Also, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Please consider donating to the Hawaii Salvation Army, and DM me on Instagram if you want me to react to your watch collection. And lastly, use my code to get $200 off of your first purchase with the BEZEL app. Links are in the description below. Thank you, and take care.